Well, there's, in broad terms, it's almost anywhere north of Hurdle and Main Street as far as a specific area where we know that there's college activity going on, Minnesota, Lisbon, anything with the University District.
I've read in the newspaper and heard on the news of the violent crimes. I can't remember exactly offhand what they were, but was there a fight maybe?
I don't. Are you talking about the young man that was beaten up?
We're just aware more because we're right, by Windspear and where a lot of the violence happens. So we've been more aware.
I'm concerned about all of Buffalo for that reason, including actually my neighborhood's in an increase and stuff like that. So I think it's a larger problem, and you can't address things just at one neighborhood level because what happens is things just move around. You need to address it as a community, and I would say as a county we need to address it. We need to stop thinking about this as just Buffalo's problem. It affects everybody.
It's clearly not the university's mission. It's the city of Buffalo's mission to create clean, safe, friendly neighborhood.
The master planning process aims at making the university a safe and memorable place in ways that perhaps it's not as safe and memorable now as it could be.
Except for that poor kid that got killed down the street. One friend of mine, someone tried to break into her house. They got in my car and stole CDs and change and things like that.
Yeah, my roommate's good friends used to live down the street about a block, and so one of their friends got shot and killed.
Right out in the front lawn?
Right in the front lawn.
I just walked over to Jim's Steakout, which is a block and a half away on Main. Sat there and got food and ate and whatever. And then I left. And as I crossed Main, there was a car on the corner of Lisbon and Main. I saw these guys coming, and like usually when I see people on the street, I'm like thinking about, I'm gonna say hi to them or whatever. By the time I had the chance to, there was a guy standing in front of me with a hood on and a bandana over his face and brand or insignia on his jacket. I don't know what it was. So right here, the guy came up to me, just like right in front of me, and he pulled out showed me a 9mm, pulled it out, said, "Give me your wallet." I gave it to him, said, "Be cool." And then they walked that way to the car. I walked this way. And after I walked a half a block, I was in like total shock, I called the cops and everything, and they were here in, a matter of, a minute or two, at the most. 4 of them actually, 4 police cars blocking the street out front of my house and back. So I was like completely freaked that it was obvious that I live where I live because there were all these cops there. So that night and the weeks following, I've been staying at my aunt's house and just kind of generally trying to stay out of this neighborhood if no one else is here with me.
Throwing a party, these kids would not leave the house. We told them to leave the house. They would not leave the house. So they started pushing on him, actually. So we were pushing back. We pushed them out of the house. They go out into their car and they start pulling their guns out of their pull their guns out of their pockets. None of us went inside. Eventually, we called the cop. We called the cops within 2 minutes of this happening.
They hung up on us.
They never came.
They never came. After an hour and a half, they finally showed up.
They were basically pretty disgruntled for us making them leave. They came around and broke this window, and then they broke your window on the side and everything. And then they just were standing in the alleyway. They wouldn't.
UB cops are a joke, unless you're up there, and then they give you dumbass tickets for whatever.
Well, we're very pleased to report the city of Buffalo has had a decrease of 12% in violent crime in the past year. There's been a uptick, it seemed, this year in reported robberies, and some of the victims were UB students. So that got reported in the mainstream press, which is which is noteworthy.
I'd have to have a little more information to determine, is that truly, are these incidences commensurate with all areas that you can live in Buffalo, or are they just hyped up by the media? Because the media here in Buffalo and Western New York is based in fear and weather, and so I don't really see any value in it, because that's what I've heard. That's been my source of information for the violence in the University Heights district, has been from the media, and being that the media uses fear to sell its product, that's been my only source, so I'd have to do a little more investigation on my own first.
It puts you in this weird position where it's like, you know, university kids living in a black neighborhood are basically intruding upon territory. I mean, it's not about race at all. It's just that the way that Buffalo has shifted, this is now, you know, an African American neighborhood with, you know, it's poor. The whole city is poor. But so once you get, you know, university kids in here who are, you know, walking down the street and clearly probably have money, they become marked, you know.
If she has to stay on campus the first year or anything like that, so I don't know. Then again, as a parent who lives in not far from University Heights, I live in the city and I'm not that far away. She's welcome to stay at my house, but I understand how young students are and they need that chance for freedom, and I would not be afraid to have her in University Heights.
Probably not. I have to be honest with you, probably not. And I think that is the concern that we have about creating opportunities for hope and development there.
Today, immediately adjacent to the Heights in the absentee landlord-owned housing stock, probably not.
Here. I would never raise a family.
No, I wouldn't. But honestly, living here, nah. I just tell them to live on the dorms where it's a little more safer.
No, but there aren't really any other options, and it's so handy for school, and the dorms are ridiculously expensive, so it's like, I mean, don't live here, but good luck finding somewhere else.
I do have children. Yes, I would feel safe about them living there. I'd encourage them to get one of the mortgages that are backed by the university. It's a fabulous offer. Both my children are products of public higher education, and they've lived in areas, in both of their cases in Seattle, that are very much like University Heights.